In this video, I'm going to explain why 2024 is the year that you will start doing what you've always wanted to do, approaching women that you don't know and asking them if they want to go on dates. I'll explain my own thoughts on why I recommend men have experience in doing this, actually try doing this if they've never done this before in their life. But I've also spoken to a few legends that I know who actually coach this stuff, and I've asked them what's their elevator pitch? Why would they try and convince guys who maybe have gotten a bit comfortable only using online dating, only using social circle game where you become friends with them first and you go really slowly into it? Why you should throw all of that out of the window and get out there and start approaching girls that you don't know, that you see in the street, that you meet in the bars. Why should you do that instead of the other options? As always on this channel, Andy and I are very big on doing what you want to do. So I'm only really trying to talk to the guys who know in their heart this is something they want to do. We wouldn't ever say there's something that you should do, but we are going to make a case for why we and myself and the guys I asked, we're going to make a case as to why we think this is something worth doing, why we had great experience, or at least we thought there was something deeper value-wise to doing this in your life at some point. If you don't know who I am, by the way, I'm Cam. I'm the other guy on this channel. It's the Kill You're in the Loser channel. I'm Andy's co-coach in his coaching program. Let's get out of the preamble into the meat of this video. So the guys that I asked were Andy himself, the owner of this channel, the other lovable, bold ginger guy that you see here. I also asked The Dom. He's been on the channel before. He is a guy who has coached guys in Europe with helping them out in their dating. And also an old school legend, Scotty from Good Looking Loser. He's also been on this channel before. He's a bit of a legend when it comes to day game and pickup circles. So I decided to get his opinion on why guys should do it in the first place. We'll start with Andy. I asked him for the elevator pitch and he sent me this message here. He said, cold approaching women is freedom. It's the freedom to approach any woman you see. It's the freedom to not be beholden to a dating app, to actually feel the chemistry in person instead of hoping it'll be there if you end up meeting. It's the freedom to not have to spend any money. It's the freedom to hit on women anywhere in the world, any time of the year, any time of day. It's the freedom to take life by the horns, to grab it with both hands and do something amazing. It's the freedom to do something 99% of other humans never do. It's the freedom to be a man who takes action instead of waiting for women to somehow magically just come into his life. It's the freedom to be social and connect with other human beings. It's the freedom to make other human beings feel good about themselves by complimenting them and making them feel attractive. Cold approach is freedom. And I fucking love his libertarian stance on this. This is very much like we are the same person when it comes to some of our opinions on this stuff. And this is very much how I felt when I was trying to get into this. It felt like I was super limiting myself to a certain dating pool before I ever learned how to talk to girls. I was limiting myself to at the time, very bad results online because I didn't have a very good profile. And then beyond that, it was just my social circle, which I think is for the majority of like men who struggle with dating. They aren't really engaging with a very large dating pool because they've only really ever dated through their friends or dated through apps, and they're not having a lot of luck on the apps. So when you have like, oh, I've only got my friends or the small amount of girls I match with, yeah, you have a tiny dating pool, which means you don't have like the freedom to go beyond your social circle because the apps aren't working for you. It's really just about like expanding your horizons. And he's right, like it's a freedom to not be beholden to the apps, which have their own drawbacks. As he says here, instead of hoping that there'll be chemistry, you kind of get a sense when you meet someone in person and find them attractive and you think there's a vibe between you. You get a much better sense of that talking to women than you do by using dating apps and trying to judge it off pictures and messaging. Messaging doesn't really go very far for me when it comes to judging chemistry. At least I think that, not anyway. It's the freedom not to have to spend any money. Yeah, because if you use the apps in like a serious way and you're paid to, basically it's pay to win these days, you can boost yourself. You can buy the higher tiers of the app, which generally gives you more results. So yeah, cold approaching, going out speaking to women. I'm trying not to call it cold approaching too much, but the guys I spoke to generally call it cold approaching. For me, cold approaching is a little bit, the term is a little bit too lingo. It's a little bit too jargon. I want to just say talking to girls, hitting on girls, that kind of stuff, because we don't want to use as much. I'm trying not to use as much jargon on this channel. I don't want to make like talking to women and taking them on dates be some weird world where we have loads of code words for everything. It's just talking to women, telling them you find them attractive and asking them for a number and going on a date. That's all it is. or going on an immediate date and trying to, ramp things up in terms of the speed. I also love how he's talking about it's the freedom to hit on girls anywhere in the world. This is an interesting point because if you're really good on the apps or you're really good socially, you may not have that if you go to another country. If you want to go traveling, you don't have your social circle unless you're. I actually like building social circles in other countries on really short timelines. It's quite fun. But if you don't have that skill, and you also don't speak the language very well, and you aren't very good at using the apps, you're fucked in another country. Or you move to another country and they have different apps and it's different styles of dating. But if you know how to do this and you go to other countries, it seems to translate regardless of whether or not you're good at the language. That's something to be said. I also love how it's taking life by the horns, it's taking action. This is exactly how it feels. Like there's something that feels very passive about the other forms of dating versus actually going out and finding women and talking to them. This feels way more like, you feel more like a man, to put it like as functionally as I can. You just feel like you're taking the most action you could take. You were feeling shit about your dating situation, so you decided to get a coat on, go out and fucking find the girls and talk to them and see if there's any girls out there for you in a more action way, in a more assertive way, like you're taking dating by the bull by the horns, as Andy says. I think that's exactly the right way to look at it. Like this is the most action-based thing that you can do to sort your dating life out. Andy, being the sweetheart that he is, also talks about making other human beings feel good about themselves. And you'll find this if you go and do like direct approaching with girls, you will find that a lot of them may not take you up on your offer, or they may not be single, but they will be like grateful that you complimented them. Like you go up and say, hey, this is random, I thought you were cute, are you single? And they're like, no, but thank you for saying that. It's pretty like, sometimes, a lot of the time, like I think it's been demonized in some quarters doing this because like it's viewed as like harassment or whatever. But if you do it in like, in a polite way, and you do it in a way that is, engaging with them as a person, and you're not just spamming. I think some guys go out and just like spam and they don't put a lot of effort into the conversations, etc. It just comes across, or they do outlandish shit. It comes across as, something worse than it is, and that can be a problem. But if you do it in the way we do it, a lot of the times the girls are going to be very flattered and be thankful that you did it. So yeah, you make them feel more attractive by hitting on them a lot of the time. Andy's made a point about this a lot on the channel. Don't listen to like some people who say this is like the terrible thing to do. Just don't. The majority of girls will have really good reactions to you doing this. So I asked Andrea, otherwise known as the Dom, for his elevator pitch, and he gave me this. Dating has gotten so many options today. Apps, Instagram, specific events, but nothing will ever come close to develop your balls and your character as old school daytime cold approach. Nothing. It's quite funny. In a world where every guru claims to be a top alpha male and then melt down in fear of approaching women in person while not having his little ego protected by a screen, or just to wag his tail between his legs while walking back from a half-assed approach, only exposing yourself to real and in-person approaching will ever make it through and become the man you aim to be. The only reward you are looking for is on the other side of this adventure, and it requires your determination and your will to become the best version of yourself. I will say this about the Dom. He knows how to fire off a speech when he feels like you aren't putting in the work. I agree with him. I think I said this one before already when I was talking about Andy's responses. Like there's something about it that separates it from the rest of your other options for finding partners, for finding dates. There's just something incredibly... What's the opposite of emasculating? It's something, it really reaffirms your masculinity. It really reaffirms you as the man who's going out and taking action. Like I was talking about with Andy's stuff, I was saying about the passivity of the other options versus what this is. And I love how he says the only reward you're looking for is on the other side of this adventure. It really is an adventure. Like when you're first going out and you've never done this before, like when I was back first starting approaching, I don't think I'd ever gone up and talked to a woman before. And I was like 24. And I realized in my life, I had never gone up and approached a woman that I didn't know and asked her if I could take her out on a date. I'd never done that. Even drunk in a bar, could never get myself to do it. Especially daytime is scary. Like walking around like a shopping center or in a cafe or whatever with people who can overhear, terrifying. And there's something about it which is like an adventure, like going traveling where you just throw yourself into the wilderness and see if you can survive, or throw yourself into a random city where they don't speak your language and see if you can survive. This is the same. You're throwing yourself into the scariest thing in the world, going and talking to a girl. Girls are fucking terrifying if you don't have any experience in this. At least I thought they were fucking terrifying, when I didn't have a lot of social experience, when I didn't have, the experience of ever having spoken to a girl and it going well, like that was when it was most terrifying. So I agree with him. The exposure therapy you get with this and the adventure, and yeah, digging deep and the determination you're going to need to go through with this, it's all worth it, regardless of the results you have in the beginning. And you will end up getting results. I promise every guy out there, like no matter who you are, if you do this with enough volume and you get good at this, you will get results. And this is what he's saying. Like you will dig deep and find out who you truly are and the man you are and the man you want to become will come out. We've seen that time and time again with guys who give this a go. Let's get on to Scotty. What did Scotty say? I actually forgot what Scotty said. I asked Scotty, what would you say to a dude who is wanting to get into it, probably you, but needs encouragement to jump into the deep end? This is what he said he would do. So it's not quite an elevator pitch. He just said exactly what he would do. He said, I would tell them to do exactly what I did when he was back in the 2000s. He would hire a coach for a weekend. If they can't afford it, find a wingman so they could be held to a standard in which they approach at least 10 women in a night or day. So, Scotty wants to get right to the heart of like how to do it. And that's what I always loved about Scotty. He's straight to the point and he's like technical. Like it's not really a big fucking like speech and passionate. It's just you want to do this? This is what you need to do. Just go and do it. Execute. And I agree with him. Like it's a lot easier if you have outside help. Like when I first ever did my first cold approach, like I said earlier, I was fucking terrified little kid basically at 24. And I had Andy. Like I hired Andy to help me with everything, but specifically we were also looking at cold approaching as well and in the daytime in Melbourne, just walking around, seeing if there's any girls who I find attractive and then going up and introducing myself. And having him made it so much easier. Like I was barely able to even contemplate doing it without going and getting Andy all those years ago. As he said, if you can't afford a coach, you find someone else who also wants to do this and you are each other's wingman. This is like super socially acceptable as well. This isn't some weird thing. Like bunch of guys when they're younger, like I guess college age in America or whatever, you'd go out to bars with your mate who was your wingman. You're both single. You're both looking to meet girls. It's just there's a lot of people in our audience never did this for some reason or never found the group of mates they were looking for. Be aggressive in your search for a wingman. And by that, I mean like go onto the forums, just keep asking on these Discords or these WhatsApp groups or these Telegrams. If you're in like a gurus group or whatever the hell you go, comment sections down below here. Just ask guys, be like, yo, does anyone out there want to be my wingman? I'm really struggling to talk to girls. I really want to do this. Is anyone out there willing to come and do it with me in my area? Just go for it. Go and find this. As I said, if you can afford a coach, I thoroughly recommend affording someone or paying for someone who is like, they're going to keep you accountable to what you said you were going to do, but also like reassure you. Andy was just like there reassuring me. He went and did a couple of approaches to show me that it's no big deal. It is surprising how much of not a big deal it looks like when you see someone go and do it. It just looks like two people are having a conversation in the street and no one around them cares. The world hasn't you get rejected. The world doesn't cave in and bury you, the police don't come running over because you talk to a girl. Just, yeah, it's really, really low key. And that's what's so shocking about it sometimes. It's like you realize how little of a big deal it is. As I said earlier, Andy and I are big on doing what you want to do. We want to push everyone to only really go after what they know they want. And I was trying to screen at the beginning to make sure that people who are watching this know they want to do this. And I'm just kind of talking to those guys and trying to get them to jump off the pool edge into the deep end. I think there'll be guys out there who are hesitating, not because necessarily they're too scared or they're anxious or whatever, but they don't think it's going to work for them. And this was kind of me too at the beginning. I went into it thinking that I wouldn't get any results for maybe the first 1,000 times I did it. I thought, oh, there's no way. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not socially I'm socially awkward. I don't have the social skills to do this. But if I do this for maybe 1,000 times, and I really wanted to go out and do it in the bar scene, I've always kind of viewed daytime cold approach as kind of the nerdier form, and I always viewed bars and clubs and nighttime as being the more socially acceptable, cool way of doing it, and that's what I always wanted to ramp myself up to being able to do, because I found that a lot scarier. And I thought it'd take me hundreds of goes before I ever find a girl who's interested, and it took me the grand total of 3 approaches to find a girl who would go on dates with me. And also on the 7th approach as well. And both of those girls ended up dating for a little bit too, both of them, in Melbourne. It was amazing. And I never thought it would work. I never thought I would get success that fast. This is it's like playing a game in a casino. You know, you're not going to win if you don't throw some chips in the middle and see what happens. So yeah, I didn't think it would work. It ended up working really well, and I didn't even want it to work. I just wanted the knowledge that I could do it. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this, that I'd seen all of my friends be able to do it. I'd gone through the entirety of university and college with very attractive, very confident friends who were able to do this, and I wasn't. I just froze. I just had so much fear and anxiety, I could never do it. And I got to 24 or 25, whatever age I was when I started, and all I wanted was to prove to myself that I was enough of a man to be able to go and do this. And that's really my message. We've heard the other guys. That's my message. If you're listening to this and you're someone that wants to prove to themselves that they can do this, don't even worry about being successful. The value you will get back is from getting yourself to the point where you can talk to girls, that you can go up to any girl. You can have the freedom that Andy talked about. You can have the feelings of, masculine pride that Andrea was getting towards. That's what I'm talking about. That's the gift that you can give yourself, is the freedom and the ability to do this. That's why I would recommend, if you've ever thought about wanting to do this, wanting to talk to girls, and you've not really been doing it much in your life before this, that's why I would recommend 2024 being the year that you try this, that you really make a big attempt at this. And as Scotty said, it's a lot easier if you go and find someone to do it with you. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm going to let Andy's video roll about the coaching group, which we both recommend you join. We will definitely help you with this if this is something that you want to do. So if you come, tons of guys come to the coaching group looking to talk to their first girls. Most of them manage to do it. A lot of them have great success from the off. Jump in, be part of the journey with them. I'll let Andy's video roll now. Peace.
If you've been wanting an amazing, awesome, elite sex life, tons of threesomes, plenty of wild adventures and great memories with awesome people, we would love to help you get there. Here's just a little bit of what our coaching clients have achieved in their time in the program. Renee had a threesome in just his second week of coaching, had a woman write him a love letter, and he went on to have sex with 12 women in just 12 weeks of coaching. Corky had his first threesome, slept with 7 amazing women, and made a ton of awesome memories with them. George and Power both had sex with 10 women each in their 12 weeks, had a bunch of wild adventures along the way. Join me and join them by clicking the coaching link in the description below.